And we're live! Hello all and welcome. And I am the Realist Philosopher, and this is the Realist Philosopher Call-In Show. So how y'all doing today? I hope y'all doing good, fine, and well. While it may seem like I'm hyped up on caffeine, I have yet to drink my coffee. I'm waiting for it to cool off, unfortunately. So, for those of you who follow my content, you know that there have been a couple occasions where we've had trolls. Last show, we had one particular troll that just kept calling back again and again and again, and we had one last week as well that did that. So, I've implemented a new call-in policy. Well, it's more than just a policy or a guideline, because this actually makes it impossible for those of you out there who are random callers to simply call in, which isn't much of a big deal because I have yet to have a random person call in that was a good caller. So it's no loss. So now the only way to call in, and it's not a big deal actually, is same way, use Skype, but just send me a friend request. All right. So find the Realist Philosopher on Skype, and then friend request me, I guess, or contact request me. I don't know how it works, but you find me and you request to be my friend, and I guess that adds you to my contact list. Add the favorites, I guess, or something. I don't know how that works, honestly. You search for somebody and you send me a message on Skype and I'll add you to my contact list. So, yeah. The only difference now, you can still contact me, but you first have to contact me before you call into the show so I can add you to my contacts list. And that way we won't have any people calling in who are anonymous, who are trying to cause trouble, and constantly ringing the show. Yes, it's inconvenient, but it's the only solution that Skype offers. I'm looking at other possible programs that could do the job possibly better than Skype. I'm investigating a couple. So give me some time. Now, if you are not at home, you're not on your computer, you don't have Skype, and you would just be calling in, 30 minutes after the show ends, I'm going to turn off the restriction on only contacts being able to contact me via phone. And you can call in and ask me to add you to the contacts, and I will, okay? And, of course, if you're not free at either of those times, just send me an email with your phone number, and I'll add that phone number to my contacts so you can call in during the next show. I know it seems kind of roundabout and like a pain in the ass, but it's really not, because at that point you'll have the ability to call in whenever you want, and you'll kind of be a favorite caller, right? Because you'll be on my contact list, and you know, I know you're a fan of the show, so you're definitely going to get on, and yeah, you'll have access to me and my brilliance. Anyway, since that's out of the way, let's move on, shall we? So yesterday I was talking about a story that I found very disturbing. It was the no fapping law. That's what these kids call that these days. We just call that jerking off when I was younger. We didn't use the term masturbating. No, that's the clinical term. But that's the anti-masturbation law, right? To be technical. Some female politician, of course, no male going to push this for men, wanted to pass a law. I don't remember what state. Let me look. But she wanted to pass a law to make some kind of point, to try and claim that semen, sperm, is equivalent with a fetus, and thereby jerking off is killing sperm, which is life, and so it needs to be banned the same way that she claims Republicans want to ban abortion. So she's an activist. She's an activist who is pretending to be a politician, like AOC. This is a very disturbing trend, very disturbing. You didn't used to see these kind of activist nut jobs in political roles. I mean, yeah, now you've got them in, like, academia, right? All the hippies have just, disseminated throughout the academic sphere, and now they're everywhere. Even math teachers are pushing SJW bullshit. But now to see it in politics. I mean, really, you did not used to see this kind of thing, and now it's out of control. We have a number of politicians who are not really politicians, and this is what disturbs me, because it used to be politicians were pragmatists to a certain extent, right? They would do what they had to do, get elected, get reelected, stay in the good graces of the people. But activists aren't really like that. They are beholden to no one except an ideology. And the really scary thing is that these people can get in now because there's enough of those type of people who are also beholden to this person's ideology, which is a pretty predictable leftist one, that they can get elected and reelected. But they're not beholden to the people they're representing, who are not only the people who follow their ideology, but also those who are on the other side of the aisle, those who are on the right. They're beholden to no one except this evil death cult ideology. Pragmatism out the window. And by the way, pragmatism is not always a good thing, but, at least you could count on politicians to, generally speaking, be pragmatic. But no. No. These activist politicians are in no way, shape, or form pragmatists, and they're dangerous. Very dangerous. This broad, for example, let me see if I can find the article. Okay. Wow. Oh, wait. I'm in the wrong place. Hold on. I didn't have any time before the show here to line all this stuff up. Wow, I already bookmarked a lot of crazy stuff to talk about. Okay, I got to go back. Texas. Wow. You know that. Texas. Jesus Christ. Yeah, so some broad in Texas is pushing this. This is so crazy. Her name is Farrar, who is a local, she's a rabid anti-male, feminist, abortion rights activist, destabilizer and destroyer of Western society. And she wants to make it illegal for men to jerk off, because it's much easier to weaponize women against men if men are stupid enough to get involved with a woman and then become beholden to the little head, not the big head, and then they let the little head guide them around into the chapel, or in this case, these days, the courthouse, because, the majority of these leftists are atheists, which isn't a bad thing. I'm an atheist too, but, you have to have some kind of grounding in logic and reason and understand how the world works if you don't have something like a religious dogma to be your guide in life. These people, meanwhile, they do have a religious dogma, but it's actually more dangerous in many ways than modern Christianity, which is scary. So, yeah, the law would fine you $100 each time. I don't know how you're going to get caught. I mean, how are they going to track this, right? Going to put cameras in everybody's bedroom? What if you whack off in the bathroom? Well, we'll put them there too. It's crazy stuff. But this is a warning, people. We now have activists penetrating government, and not just in small numbers, in large numbers. They're not beholden to you. They're not beholden to anybody. They're beholden to an ideology. They believe they're Joan of Arc. They believe they are saviors of humanity. They're beholden to a cause. They're beholden to a set of strictures in regards to how they act and how they think that are very, very self-limiting, and they cannot in any way, shape, or form stray outside of the little bubble that they exist within. The ideology itself doesn't allow it. So these are the most close-minded and at the same time single-minded people you will ever run into. And this makes them extremely, extremely dangerous because they can't see things from anybody else's point of view except their own. They lack the faculties. They lack the tools to be able to do so, okay? They don't have logic. They don't have reason. They don't have critical thinking skills. They just have the ideology, and they see the world through the lens of that ideology. So everything gets filtered through that lens and identified by that ideology. Racist, sexist. Oh, that's okay. That's not okay. Oh, that's misogyny. Very, very dangerous. You got people like this woman. She's seeking to use her job as a politician to push activism. She's an activist. She's an activist, and she's using her job in the state's legislature of Texas to push activism, to be an activist. That's not a politician's job. A politician's job is to represent the people, and not just the people who voted for you or who follow your ideological bent, but everybody within the district that got you elected. Oh, but no. I don't represent them. Those people, they don't represent me, and I don't represent them. I represent the greater good. Oh, boy. Nothing more dangerous than somebody who thinks they're a champion of the greater good, because they could be wrong about what is identified as the greater good, as is the case here. They're not right. I'll tell you that. This woman is way off. Yeah. Of course, she's trying to claim that, well, I'm just trying to do this to make a point. It's activism. But what if it got elected to law? And by the way, it's moving closer to becoming law. Do you think she'll complain? Do you think that she will bemoan the fact that men have lost the freedom to have control over their own bodies, while meanwhile, at the same time, women maintain control over their own bodies to kill another body, which they claim, oh, my body, my choice, it's in my body, so it's my body, but it's not your body, it's another body. The lack of logic there. Oh, boy, oh, boy, oh, boy. But, yeah. So, yeah. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. Activist politicians actively pushing laws that would take away men's freedom and criminalize normal, non-criminal behavior. All in the name of activism. Like a lot of these people. AOC, for example. I just wanted to mention that because I find it very, very worrying. You need to be on the lookout for these types of people, okay? If they start spouting ideological taglines, you know that they are leftists, although honestly, leftists are not very hard to spot, but leftist activists as well. And you know these people are very different from your typical politician, because your typical politician just, bends with the wind, goes wherever the wind is going, right? Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer and all that. Whatever is in vogue at the time. 10 years ago, Chuck Schumer was against illegal immigration and open borders. Now he's for it. Why? Because the winds have shifted. That's what a politician does. They go wherever the wind blows, but not activist politicians who are not really politicians. They aren't bent. They aren't swayed by the wind, by popular opinion. No, the changing winds have no effect on them whatsoever. They're only loyal to their ideology, which makes them extremely dangerous. You can't change their mind. You can't bend their will. They don't bend. And it's, do they break? Hard to say. Can they break? Sure. Do they? Yeah. We'll see. Anyway, let's move on, shall we? Yeah, I thought that was just crazy stuff. Wow. All right, so there's a lot of nutty stuff going on in the world right now. Number one, The Guardian wants you to have less children if you're white. That's great. Well, it's wonderful. So The Guardian published a story that's the exact title. And it's got 3 white babies on it. Not black babies, not brown babies, which tells you all you need to know about who they're targeting. White people, have less children. Yeah. Next best actions, sell your car. Avoid flying. Go vegan. Veganism, the left loves veganism. The global elites love veganism because without meat, you can't think. You can't think too clearly. I've been seeing a lot of videos posted by ex-vegans lately online, and they're talking about how it impacted their health and they weren't able to think clearly, which isn't surprising, really. You heard about that vegan Gaines nut job? He's having some real tough times. He got a visit from the cops recently. That guy's nutty as a fruitcake. It seems like all these vegans are unhinged people. From what I've seen of veganism, the majority of these people have no lives, and they focus all their time, all their effort, all of their consciousness, all of their thinking on how they eat. What an empty life. I mean, your whole life is centered on and focused around food. In that, you're kind of like a fat person, right? Looking for your next fix. In that way, you're just like fatty. You're focused, dedicated on food. That's not healthy. They're kind of single-mindedness in regards to something that, you eat to live. You don't live to eat. But vegans, they live to eat. And everything with a vegan is about their diet. Every mofo thing about these people is about, what's the amount of this and that and that and this, and how many grams of this should I eat, and this good for me, is this bad for me? Just these are the worried, and they're not healthy anyway. I was going to say the worried well, but they're not that well because their diet is so limited that they're really not that healthy at all. And some of these vegans are essentially in such bad health. They have osteoporosis at like 30 because some of them don't eat any animal products. No milk. No milk? What about the calcium you need? Your bones are going to become brittle like an 80-year-old man. Yeah, I don't care. I'll live to be 120. Yeah, you'll live to be 120 and fucking miserable. By the way, there's something about depriving yourself of food that can make you live longer, essentially slowing down your metabolism and thereby extending life. This is a proven way to live longer. It's not a way I would want to live. Constantly hungry. No, thank you. If I died 80 or 90 instead of 100, but enjoyed my life and ate what I wanted, or deprived myself for the next 60 years, but live an extra 10, I'll pass. I'm more concerned about quality than I am about quantity. As for vegans, well, I have a theory about this. It seems to me like vegans, it seems like some of them have had some kind of traumatic childhood experience, maybe experienced some kind of abuse or trauma in their past that they're trying to escape. And there's multiple coping mechanisms for this. Some people get into drugs. Some people get into having lots of sex and becoming very promiscuous, and their life focusing around those things. And with the vegan, it's veganism. Also seems like a coping mechanism to exercise control, because you feel out of control in your life, so you focus on your food and controlling your calorie intake, and that becomes your whole life, and you feel like you're in charge. You feel like you have power, because otherwise you would feel the exact opposite, and then you would have to face that past trauma in that powerless state. And the veganism is just a way to distract yourself and avoid your feelings and emotions about that trauma and having to deal with it, face it. That's just a little pet theory, and I don't say that that's the case in every single one of the cases where you have a wacko vegan, right? I mean, sometimes you get a kid that's a drug addict out of a perfectly good home. He had good parents. His parents were fine. They did a good job. They did a great job, and he ended up being a heroin addict anyway. There's exceptions to every rule, but I think the general rule is that these people have been through some trauma in their life, and veganism is just a coping mechanism. They're also very wrong. It doesn't make them any healthier. And there's no spirit, people, okay? There's no spirit, there's no chi, no katra, or any of that other bullshit. You're not taking in some nasty, evil karma when you eat meat. Which, by the way, isn't even the case, because the karma would only apply, the bad karma, that is, would only apply to the person that had slaughtered the animal, not to you, the person who's eating it. By the way, Tibetan Buddhists, who are all about not killing animals, they eat meat. They just have these special pariahs in their society who are the butchers. They're perfectly okay with that butcher incurring a whole bunch of negative karma. And the butcher is shunned and looked down upon and shamed when he's not working as a butcher. But when he's working as a butcher and you come to get meat from him, oh yeah, I love you, butcher, because without you defecating on your own soul and ensuring you never go to nirvana, I wouldn't have any yummy meat to eat, because we're not allowed to kill animals. But you can kill animals and we cannot. So the butcher was the pariah in Tibetan Buddhist society, and he was like the designated black sheep of society, and he was allowed, or he would anyway, and everybody would look down on him, but he probably made a pretty good living, because there weren't too many people that wanted to incur that kind of wrath and shame and displeasure of the local populace, at least in their off hours. Tibetan Buddhists were very collectivist, by the way. In that way, they're similar to the left. Anyway, let's get more of this story. So, the greatest impact individuals can have in fighting climate change is to have one fewer child. White people. According to a new study that identifies the most effective ways people can cut their carbon emissions. White people. This whole carbon shit is bullshit, right? It's just a vehicle to push ever more power being accrued by the government while at the same time encouraging you to have less kids because the leftists, the global elite leftists that want to control everybody and who have all the power, essentially they want less people. They have a depopulation agenda in place. Depopulation. At least of Whitey, right? Because he's the one with the power. Got to get rid of Whitey. Yeah, other people are being encouraged to have kids, or they're not being encouraged not to have kids, other races like blacks and Muslims, but first things first, Whitey's got to go. Then once Whitey's gone and the global elites have more power, then they can take on the onerous task of getting the other races to have less kids. So the next actions are selling your car. How are you going to get around? What's everybody going to ride a bike? What if you live in fucking Detroit and it's like 20 below in winter? Okay, have you ever ridden a bike in winter? I have, all right? I used to be a big fitness nut, and I can tell you it's really, really fucking cold. You got to wear pants with special fucking crotch lining for the wind resistance so it doesn't freeze your cock. Yeah, it's not pleasant. It's not pleasant. The amount of special clothes that you have to wear, fuck that. And even then, you're fucking cold. And, of course, the fucking road is icy. You try riding on the road with a little fucking tire this wide. Yeah, good luck. Good luck. Fucking kill yourself. Yeah, you can't see the fucking sewer grates. Your fucking wheel goes into a sewer grate. You go flying. Your fucking bike gets smashed. And some of these bikes are as expensive as a fucking car. Avoid long flights. How are you going to do that if you need to fly to Asia or Europe or some shit and you're in America? And eat a vegetarian diet. Well, you like that, wouldn't you? Because eating less meat, it incapacitates my brain. It makes me less able to think clearly. Especially if I'm a man, I need meat to create testosterone so that I will be more focused, able to think more clearly. You don't want that, do you? And, of course, I'd lose muscle mass in many cases. But, oh, yeah. Oh, look at that vegan guy. He didn't lose muscle mass. He's still nuts. He's still nuts. And unhappy. Ugh, oh, my God. So these reduce emissions many times more than... What do I care about reducing emissions? Common green activities such as recycling, using low-energy light bulbs, or dry washing on a line. However, the high-impact actions are rarely mentioned in government advice and school textbooks. Textbooks like Don't Have Kids, which is something they've been telling white people. I remember back in the 70s they were talking about this stuff. Have less kids. It's better for the planet. The planet will die if you have more than one child, Whitey. Oh, Blackie can have more, sure. We can control Blackie through welfare. We can't control Whitey. Whitey actually wants a higher standard of living, and he can achieve it with his mind and his higher IQ on average. Blackie, well, you know, we've gotten him accustomed to the welfare. Yes, we've enabled Blackie for 60 years. Yeah. So then we can control, but not whites. We've tried to control whites, but the only way we're able to control them is war, and even then, they fight back. It's a real problem. But if we can get them to destroy themselves, aha! Eureka moment. So, carbon emissions must fall to 2 tons of CO2 per person by 2050. Why must they? Why must they, The Guardian? You man-hating rag, you white people-hating rag. Why must they fall by then? I love how they set these arbitrary numbers that we have to meet. AOC is talking about how the world's going to end in 12 years. No, they're not necessarily saying the world's going to end. What they're saying is that if we don't cut carbon emissions within the next 12 years, the world is doomed. They're talking about how we have a 12-year window, right? This manufactured crisis that will get people to vote for, guess who? Them. And then they'll take away your freedom. But don't worry, at least you'll survive. I'd rather die. I'd rather die. I'd rather die free than live under your tyrannical boot heel. So, it goes on to say, but the U.S. and Australia's emissions are currently 16 tons per person. Good, I want to see more. Let's try to get that to 18. And the UK, 7 tons. It's not enough. Raise it up. Hey, I can make shit up too. I can make shit up too, and actually, I'm right. That would be better for the planet, at least ecologically speaking, at least agriculturally speaking. Wouldn't hurt it. Oh, it might make it too hot for us to survive. I don't think so. I don't think so. Goes on to say, that's obviously a really big change. Yeah, why do you want that change? Why do you want that change? You do realize that lowering emissions would make agriculture less viable. We would have less crops. More people would actually die. Then if you allow this so-called crisis, this faux crisis, to continue. So we want to show that individuals have an opportunity to be part of that, said Kimberly Nicholas at Lund University in Sweden, one of the top 5 feminist countries in the world. So it's just an activist. I've noticed something about these people pushing this climate change bullshit. They all seem to be people that want to be heroes. They all seem to be people that want to save the world. And being a leftist offers them that feeling of being this cavalier, this chevalier, this grand hero on an epic scale. Yes, to fill in for the complete and utter lack of a personality or a sense of identity that is all your own. The new study, okay, so carbon emissions, the new study published in the Environmental Research Letters sets out the impact of different actions on a comparable basis. By far the biggest ultimate impact is having one fewer child. Well, yeah, then that's no carbon emissions because there's no extra human being to create them. So that person has 0 because they don't exist. While the researchers equated to reduction of 58 tons of CO2 per year for each of these kids that they don't have. Okay, so don't have kids. Well, that's a great solution, right? Oh, I mean, yeah, human beings will stop existing, but at least the planet will be fine, right? Until it decides to belch out some carbon on its own through some kind of natural disaster that humans have no control over. And of course, the majority of the world is not in the West. So even if every single Western country agreed to do this, you know, that wouldn't even be 20% of the population. And the majority of emissions are coming out of India and China. How are we going to stop them? Can't. The figure was calculated by totaling up the emissions of the child and all their descendants, then dividing this total by the parent's lifespan. Each parent has ascribed 50% of the child's emissions, 25% of their grandparents' emissions, and so on. Having one fewer child will save 58.6 tons of CO2 per year. Why should I care? I don't know why you think I should care. By the way, there is no scientific consensus on man-made climate change. There's a scientific consensus on climate change, but the leftist nut jobs, they like to conflate that with the man-made. The climate's changing, but it's not man-made. That hasn't been proven, so you don't say that's the case. I say it's not because it hasn't been proven, and even if it was proven, whoop-de-fucking-do. And it's, by the way, it's not the case. There have been plenty of actual scientists, real scientists, not nut jobs that went to university, have a leftist bent, and then get a degree in a particular subject so that they can push their fucking ideological bent to some kind of science. No, real scientists, this is why the earth is fucking warming. The sun! The sun, you idiots! What do you think? The sun is a 50 fucking watt light bulb that just puts out 50 watts for 5 billion years and then, oh, it burned out? No, you pinheads. It has up phases and down phases. It has phases where it puts out more solar radiation and less. When we have ice ages, that's when it's putting out less. When we have warming periods that these idiots are calling global warming, as if it's some kind of big deal or some kind of fucking strange thing that's, you know, out of the ordinary. That's when the sun is in a up phase, where it's putting out more solar energy. The sun's energy output is not static. It changes over time, hence the Earth's temperature changes over time. Anybody with even a measurable amount of intelligence knows this, and that this is why you have global warming. We have ice core samples going back hundreds of thousands of years that show higher temperatures when there was less CO2 in the atmosphere, and lower temperatures, ice age temperatures, when there was more than we have now. Then how do you explain the global warming? It's the sun, you idiots! Morons! All right, I'm going to move on. So if anybody'd like to call into the show, feel free to... Oh, that's right. You can't call in. You're not on my contacts list. You might be able to send a text message, though, asking me to add you. I'm not sure about that. But you can call me. So I have to add you to the contacts list if you want to be a regular caller. So at the end of the show, when the show ends, I'm going to stay. I'm going to leave my Skype open for half an hour. That's all the time I have after the show ends. And you can call me during that time and ask me to add you to the contacts. And then you can contact the show anytime in the future. Or you can email me. My email's on the screen in the upper right-hand corner, admin@therealistphilosopher.com, admin@therealistphilosopher.com. Or use Skype and just, send me a message. Friend me, whatever, and I'll add you to my contacts list. So it's that simple. So no, you can't. You have to actually go through one step to be able to call in, as opposed to before when you could just call in. But we have to guard against trolls. Had a number of trolls calling in, who are essentially just calling in to use the N-word. Okay, that's not allowed. Yes, I'm a comedian of sorts. Yes, I'm a comedian as well as a provocateur and a philosopher. Yeah, I joke around a lot about, race and such, but those are jokes. That word is off limits, and if you call into my show and say that, you are banned. You will get the ban hammer, you dummies. You would think you would know that. Some things are not allowed. That's one of the very few on this show that is not. All right, now if you'd like to donate to the show, please consider going to therealistphilosopher.com/donate. That's therealistphilosopher.com/donate. Anyway, so Whitey, your job is to have less kids, which is happening. Whites haven't been at replacement rates since 1970. Our population would be the same or slightly lower than it was in 1970 if it wasn't for all of the both legal and illegal immigration from the third world that has been encouraged. Well, okay, so maybe not, because if we had kept our legal immigration focused on Europe and just having white immigrants come in, but that would be encouraging more white people. Can't have that. Let's kill the golden fucking goose that is Whitey. Yeah, I don't think people understand how white Europeans have transformed the world. If you took away white Europeans, I want you to do some research, people out there, but I'll tell you some things so that you have an idea of what I'm talking about. But I want you to do some research about what white people have invented, and you'll find that pretty much every goddamn thing that the modern world is founded on was created by whites. Indoor plumbing was created by, guess who? Whitey! Ding, 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 ding! Yeah. Roman Italians, but it might have existed even before that. We have examples of clay piping in even older ruins than Rome. It's very interesting to me that people don't understand the race contributions, what races contributed what to modern society. They don't know. Look around you. Cell phone, white people. The monitor you're watching right now, whitey. The computer you're using, whitey. TV, whitey. The light bulb, whitey. Electricity, whitey. Nikola Tesla. Other people attribute that to someone else who's going to remain nameless, but it's not true. Tesla created AC. Yeah. The other douchebag I'm not going to mention created DC. Tried to destroy Tesla. But anyway. Everything! Car, whitey. Internal combustion engine, whitey. Steam engine, whitey. Planes, whitey. Meanwhile, go on YouTube and watch video. Type in Africans trying to build planes. Africans who have no engineering backgrounds trying to build planes, and none of them fly. You all don't understand. White people built the modern freaking world. Skyscrapers, whitey. Anything you can name that's in the modern world was created by a white person. All of it. Name it. Name me something that's whitey. Name me. Name me one fucking thing that's a foundational aspect of the modern world. Whitey. I can say whitey. I don't even need to research it. It was whitey. I could just keep saying whitey all fucking day, and I'm going to be right 99.9% of the fucking times. I might be wrong. I might be wrong one time out of 100. But honestly, clocks. Chinese, but whitey created the modern mechanical clock. Guns, whitey. Wasn't Chinese. They invented the gunpowder. How to get it? Don't you understand? If you get rid of us, you're all going to die. You're all going to die. Don't you get it? You don't have the mental capacity to create and replicate these things or maintain them. Oh, you might think, oh, well, it's already invented. Yeah, the stuff has already been invented, but, you know, it has to continue to be made. It has to be kept up. And the modern infrastructure of America and other Western countries, which is also a creation of whitey, electrical grids, whitey, trains, whitey, train tracks, whitey. And it's all whitey. To maintain all this infrastructure, you also need that same level of expertise and understanding of that which we, white people, created. I'm just stating facts. You don't like these facts? You can go live on the moon, which you could get to on a rocket invented by whitey. I could play this game all fucking day. But yeah, go ahead, global elites, because you're all white, right? You're all a bunch of financier fucking bankers, right? Your intelligence lies in the realm of fucking banking and finance. Oh, go ahead, yeah. Sure. Oh, yeah, you're going to fucking recreate all this stuff once all the white people are gone? I don't think so. That's not where your expertise lies. Of course, some white people will be allowed to continue to survive, of course, as, you know, useful idiot chattel who will be the main producers, slaves, while the rest of society lives lives of wonderful ease and leisure. Yeah. This is the world they want. They want white people to be serving them and be slaves. Yeah, we don't want to kill off all the golden gooses. We just want to reduce them to a point where they have no real power. And then we'll control them and live off of their productivity the way they lived off ours for so many centuries. Ooh. Yeah, what a bunch of bullshit. What a bunch of bullshit. Yeah, the old oppressor-oppressed cultural Marxist narrative that teaches people to believe the nonsense that white people have the wealth they have now because they stole it from everybody else. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so Whitey, your existence is at risk. If you think I'm being hyperbolic or exaggerating, you're a fucking moron, okay? That's the goal. That's the plan. Look around you. Look at what people are doing. Look at what's happening. Look at the outcomes of the policies being enacted and that are already in place. They all exist to get rid of you. Don't listen to what people say. Look at what they do and look at outcomes. Anyway, what do you think about what I'm saying? You can call in if you're already a contact, or you can text me on Skype. I believe you can send me messages even if you're not a contact. Not 100% sure, but you can always email me. I'm not really sure, honestly. I'll need to do some research into this. But again, there were just too many trolls calling in, so I had no choice. Again, if you're not able to send me messages to ask me to add you, you can just email me. This is a weird thing. It seems to me like people have gotten very lazy these days. So much so that just sending an email is difficult. And if you want to be on the show, all you have to do is email me. At the most, that's what you have to do. That's all. Oh, okay, so I am going to turn off I'm going to turn off the restriction once the show is done, and you can send me messages or call me for 30 minutes after the show ends and ask me to add you to my contacts, and I will. But yeah, some of you are kind of lazy, right? You become very, very lazy, so much so that it seems like a chore. It's such a chore to send an email. I remember when you actually had to send letters through the fucking snail mail, okay? So don't tell me you have to sit there and write out pages and pages. Fuck that. Don't tell me that that's hard to send an email. All right, let's move on. Oh, my God. Oh, boy. Here we go. Oh, this is great. This is great. So Medicaid is, oh my God, how is this possible? Medicaid to begin covering sex reassignment surgeries. You ever notice, by the way, how the majority of these trannies are white people, white men? I bet you haven't noticed that, have you? Take a look. Take a look the next time at the numbers. The vast majority of these trannies, transsexuals, is that the right term? Do you call them transsexuals? I know you're not supposed to use the word tranny, because that's offensive. How is that offensive? Oh, because people are choosing to be offended. On a side note, offense is a choice. it's not something that just happens. Offense is something that occurs when you're a beta male, if you're a man, a weakling, or a woman. Now, women, yeah, they're emotional creatures. They lack a control of self. So it's very easy to offend them. It's almost as if they have no choice. They really do, or they could control it if they wanted to, but they don't. Now me, I don't get offended unless I choose to get offended. If something is so objectionable, so evil, I might get myself riled up a bit. But otherwise, what do I care? You can say whatever you want, call me whatever you want. I don't fucking care. It's a choice. Which is why it annoys me so much that these people will essentially use offense as a way to shut other people down. The fuck? Something's wrong with this screen. It keeps moving around and shit. What is this? All right, Medicaid to begin covering sex reassignment. Medicaid, so Springfield, Illinois, Governor J.B. Pritzker has ordered the state's Medicaid program to begin covering the costs of sex reassignment surgeries for, transgender. It's not transsexual anymore. It's transgender now. Okay. So the Illinois Department of Health Care and Family Services will develop administrative rules to offer coverage to people diagnosed with gender dysphoria. Isn't that a mental illness? So you have a mental illness that makes you think that you're the opposite sex. So instead of offering you mental aid, mental help, I'm going to chop off your wiener. Which is pretty much an irreversible action. It's not like I can put it in a pickle jar, and if I change my mind someday, you know what? I feel like a man now. Go get my cock and I'll reattach it. It doesn't work that way. Once you've lapped it off, it's gone forever. Listen to this. Healthcare is a right, not a privilege, and I'm committed to ensuring our LGBTQ community and all Illinoisians, what a pretentious dickhead, have access to that right, said Pritzker. Yeah. Does he understand that that's a very small percentage of the population that are these trans people? I understand it's growing because there's no male privilege, but there is female privilege, and on top of female privilege, there's trans privilege, so you get to become a victim, and victimhood in today's Western society pays dividends. So, yeah, I understand, dude, that, this population of people is increasing, and that there's a big population besides those people who support these people, all right? These uber weaponized, useful idiots. And you think that you're guaranteeing yourself re-election, but pal, no. Again, another activist, another fucking activist. Healthcare's not a right. It is a privilege. I love this. What is healthcare? So first of all, let's define our terms. What exactly is healthcare? Well, healthcare is when you go to see a doctor and they treat you, or they examine you. Well, isn't that doctor having to perform a service? Isn't he having to put in time? Isn't he having to put in effort? Isn't he having to exercise his expertise that he spent years, if not decades, developing and honing? And so isn't that, that's labor! That's labor! So what you're essentially saying is healthcare is a right, so the doctor is beholden to me to give me his labor. Gee, that sounds an awful lot like slavery. I love how the left talks so much about oppression and not exploiting people, but aren't you exploiting the doctor when you say he must treat you, he has to treat you, he has no say in the matter if he wants to practice medicine? Isn't that exactly what you're saying? Aren't you exploiting him? Aren't you exploiting his want to help people by telling him who he can treat, that he must treat them, how much he must take, he can't charge a different amount than anybody else, no competition. That's real great. Yeah, you're going to get a lot of high-quality doctors in medicine with zero fucking competition, which is actually what you have in the West right now, which is why we have a huge shortage of doctors. Anybody with half a brain either isn't going into medicine even if they wanted to because there's no money to be made, there's no freedom, it's just a bureaucratic nightmare with all the fucking paperwork and politics and bureaucracy, or they're all becoming eye doctors because that's the least regulated field in medicine. Ay vey. It's great. It's a right. What is a right? Well, let's define what a right is, okay? So a right is something you should automatically have. The word should being the kicker. That is the key word you need to look at. Should. That's an aspect of idealism. Idealism is a school of philosophy that teaches that the mind is paramount and reality is secondary, that the mind essentially shapes reality, not the other way around. And so you say, this is how I think something should be. That's an idealistic statement. Now, sometimes what you are idealizing or saying should be the case is in line with reality, but you have to have a real good understanding of how reality works. But more often than not, it's in no way in line with how reality works. And this is a perfect example of a time when it's not in line. Healthcare is not a right, okay? If essentially when you say should, that's essentially somebody saying, when they say something's a right, I'm entitled. That's it. That's it. When you say something's a right, that means I'm entitled. How are you entitled to health care? If you were entitled to health care, wouldn't you be born with a doctor? I'm giving birth. Oh, great. You're going to have your son and his doctor. Every person would have a fucking doctor, right? But who would doctor the doctor? Oh, another person's doctor. He's entitled to the other kid's doctor too, right? Yeah, so you'd have the kid and then you'd have his doctor. And the doctor, that one doctor, his whole life's goal and focus would be taking care of the person who's entitled to his care. I don't know who would care for the doctor of the entitled person that he has essentially been born attached to in an obligatory way, but whatever, huh? Don't ask leftists those questions. They have no answers. You're just entitled, right? I'm entitled. I have a right to food. Why weren't you born with a lifetime supply of food? It wouldn't fit in the uterus, that's all. This is what shocks me. It takes fucking labor to produce all these things that you say you have a right to, okay? You say you have a right to housing. Doesn't somebody have to build that house? Well, how's he being paid? Of course, this is why leftists want everything to be free, but I don't know how that's going to work, because where's the incentive for people to do shit to begin with? I have a right to a house. If you had a right to it, it would just be there. I have a right to food. It would just magically appear, if that was the case. I have a right to health care. If that was the case, the doctor, who's going to treat a lot more people than just you, wouldn't have to go to school for fucking 8 years and then spend another 4 in residency. If that was the case, he'd just be right there. I need health care. Snap your finger and the fucking doctor appears like a genie. What was that show? What was that show back in the 60s? There was black and light. I Dream of Jeannie. You know, she'd go into her little bottle and then he'd snap his fingers and she'd come out in this fucking bikini with that hot bod. Every young man's dream. There were a lot of young men fapping to that show, I tell you that. Limited resources back in the 60s. What do you expect? Porno back then was kind of boring. And also black and white. Anyway, you don't have a right to health care because it takes someone else's labor to produce it. You don't have a right to anything. You're not entitled to anything in this world. Well, have you looked at the natural world? Take a look at the natural world. Something that, by the way, leftists like to talk about, and they like to talk about how human beings, especially the vegan ones who are also leftists, about how humans are no better than animals. We're just highly evolved animals. We just happen to be smarter than the other animals, but we're still animals too. Okay, and you're right, by the way. So let's go look at the fucking prairies or the tundra or whatever in fucking Africa and the lion running around. Is he entitled? Does he have a right to the fucking gazelle? Does the gazelle just walk over to him and say, hey, yeah, bite me right here. This is the spot. I make a good meal for you. What the fuck? Are you out of your mind? If the fucking lion was entitled to the fucking gazelle, it wouldn't be able to run so goddamn fast and possibly get away, you idiots. He's got to work for that food. You're not entitled to anything. You have to work for it. And also, the doctor should have the choice to say no. He should have the choice to refuse. When you're saying he has no choice and he must treat you at the price you want him to treat you at, guess what? You just took away his freedom of choice. I don't know. Seems kind of authoritarian to me. Oh, but we're the bad guys. We're the Nazis. You're not the Nazis, right? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right, so, yeah, healthcare is a right, not a privilege. So the department said paying for the surgeries will help stave off negative health effects, such as depression and suicide. You know another way to stave off those effects? Treat these people for their underlying mental illness instead of enabling them by giving them this surgery in the first place. They have a mental disorder. They have a mental disorder. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I know this is not politically correct, but anybody that wants to go and chop off their parts and put on new parts like they're a fucking Lamborghini. I want a new muffler. You're not a fucking car, you idiot. You're a biological organism. It doesn't work that way. I don't care how it works, boss. I'm going to go against reality. Yeah, because that works real well. The HFS said 17 states and Washington, D.C. offer coverage for surgeries without a significant cost increase. Does anybody know how long this surgery takes? Something like 10, 12, 14 hours. I mean, my God. You get heart surgery quicker than that, and that costs hundreds of thousands of dollars. This is a major expense. This is one of the arguments, by the way, against LBGs. These transgender people being in the military, because once they're in, the military has to pay for their reassignment surgery. Oh, that's okay. Now we'll pay for it. You do understand that what this is also going to do is encourage more leftists to balkanize in these specific states. Yeah. Oh boy, yeah. That'll give the left more power if they get their fucking popular vote bullshit passed over the Electoral College. By the way, for those of you who don't know, there's a bunch of states that are voting within their state legislature to pass laws that will give the Electoral College votes of that state to the person who wins the popular vote, thereby bypassing the Electoral College. So under that scheme, Trump would have lost. Trump would have lost because even though he got the Electoral College votes, are you see what I'm saying? Because Hillary won the popular vote, any one of these states that votes to give their electoral college votes to the winner of the popular vote would have had to give their electoral votes to Hillary, and then she would have won by a landslide. That's great. Oh, that's great. This is so ridiculous. So fucking ridiculous. Yeah, they're going to pay for transgender surgery. Wonderful. Wonderful. Yes, another good way to make useful idiots for life. Let's handicap people and fuck them up mentally. And if they don't kill themselves, there are useful idiots forever. We got them. We got their drug. Because, you know, the other thing is that these transgender people need a lot of drugs. They need a lot of drugs to affect the affect of a woman. They need a lot of pills, a lot of medication. They need medications to create moisture down below, right, where you no longer have your exterior parts, because the majority of transgender are men becoming women, because there's really no male privilege. There's just female privilege. That's why all these guys are wanting to become women, because there is such a bias against men. So they need drugs for that. They need the estrogen. There's a whole bunch of drugs. So essentially the government is becoming their fucking drug dealer. You're totally reliant now on the government. Yes, yes, and you're a useful idiot that's always going to vote for the Democrats now, yeah. If you thought that them weaponizing blacks against whites and against America to bring about social change, socialism, was their only means of attack, oh no. It's multi-pronged, baby, all designed to give the left power, all designed to give them supremacy forever. Oh, my goodness. Some scary, scary shit. I'm going to pay for transgender surgeries. That's great. Tax dollars. Your tax dollars at work. The government, if it ever did work for the people, it doesn't work for the people anymore. It works for itself, its own aggrandizement, and its own continued power. All right, last story. And this is funny because predictable. Totally predictable. Oh, man. Fucking great. Minimum wage. So, for those of you who follow the news, you would know that New York City implemented a $15 an hour minimum wage. What happened when they did that? Well, predictably, they lost jobs. Lost jobs, lost businesses. Yeah, this is great. So, predictable minimum wage increase in New York costs jobs and puts businesses out of business. It's brilliant. Brilliant idea. Oh, minimum wage. What a dumb idea. Well, how dumb can you be? Raise the cost of labor. What are you going to do? You're going to have less labor. It's simple economics. You would think most people would understand this. Nah, nobody understands this. Nobody understands economics. Least of all AOC and Democrats. They have no clue. No clue how this stuff works. I can't get these pages to open. Very annoying. All right. So anybody like to call in and give me their thoughts? The number is 623-242-2517. 623-242-2517. Hey, yeah. Again, it is unfortunate I had to make it contacts only. They could contact me, but, yeah, what could I do? All right, I can't get the minimum wage page to open, so I can't review that story. And the show's almost over anyway. 7:57. Okay, so, yeah, I'll discuss this next story next time. But it is sad that I had to close out the anybody can call in. I don't understand trolls. Can somebody explain this to me? Now, the places I advertised this show were mainly men's groups, places where men congregate. I'm fighting for you guys. Sure, women can watch this show. If women have an appreciation of logic and reason and having an analytical breakdown of the facts and an examination of the truth underlying the bullshit words that are being yammered about, then you'll enjoy it as well. But the show is geared toward those things that men most enjoy and appreciate. And I fight for men. Men are great. We're the saviors and creators of the motherfucking world. Why would any of you men call into this show and troll it? Why would you do that? It's 100% counterproductive. Why would you want to do that? Why would you want to limit other men's ability to call in and essentially give their opinions? Why would you want to limit my ability to interact with the audience? An audience that you are a member of and one of the people I'm trying to assist and that I'm fighting for. It makes no real sense, but I guess this would explain why men are having such a hard time. They're essentially hamstringing themselves. Of course, that can be evidenced by the rise of blue pill men, white knights. I think it's sad, though, that so many people who are not men, really, you're not real men, anybody that would call in and troll this show, you're a beta male. Okay, blue pill, beta male. You're part of the problem, guys, okay? You're part of the problem. It's rather unfortunate that such men don't see that I'm fighting for you. You're fighting against you. Don't you get it? You're not going to get laid, okay? You're not going to get laid. White knighting will not get you laid. Fighting against your own will not get you laid. Not being a member of the Brotherhood will not get you laid. You will not get laid being a white knight. You will not get laid being a blue pill guy. You will not get laid being a male feminist. This will not get you laid. Never would, okay? Women resent men who are feminized. They don't want anything to do with them. They feel nothing more than contempt for them. If you listen to these feminists, behind closed doors, they are talking about how they hate male feminists. They see you as doing nothing more than trying to essentially ride their coattails and get some kind of advantage from feminism. Yeah, they're always talking about how it's about equality, and they fooled you idiots into believing that. Some of these people are true believers, although the majority of men who identify as male feminists are nothing more than guys that are pretending to be such so they can get some poon because they can't compete on a level playing field with guys like myself and other guys that, have an actual personality and a sense of self, know who they are, and self-confidence. These kind of things get you laid, all right? Not pandering to the women or attacking your own being the male gender, others of the male gender, because I'm not going to call you men. Because again, a real man would not call this show and not make it impossible for me to take calls from men who actually want to interact with me and get more out of it and express their appreciation for my content. Real man wouldn't do that. Real man wouldn't feel a need to do that. He would be strong enough and secure enough in his own identity and sense of self that he wouldn't feel a need to lash out at others in that way, okay? So I just wanted to point that out and end the show on that note. So again, I'm going to close the show out in a couple minutes. You can use Skype at that point. As I said, I'm going to open up Skype. You can call me. You can message me, and I will add your name and number to my contacts. And then in the future, you can call in. So send me an email at admin@therealistphilosopher.com. That's admin@therealistphilosopher.com if you're not free right now to send me that information. Or Skype me at The Realist Philosopher. Or call at 1-623-242-2517. That's 1-623-242-2517. That is the United States phone number if you are in the U.S. And what's very sad is that the troll we got yesterday was in the fucking U.K. So this guy was actually paying international long-distance fees to call me and troll me. Loser! Loser! So, yeah, if you're in the United States and you have a cell phone, you probably have a cell phone plan that gives you unlimited minutes within the continental United States. So if you'd like to be on the show in the future, call me after the show ends, and I'll add your number. Skype me and give me your number, and I'll add it. Or email me your number, and I'll add it to my contacts. And then my next show, you can feel free to call in. Because, again, I've limited the people who can contact me during the show to only contacts. So you trolls out there, you're out of luck. And I guarantee you, you're not going to stop those people who are worth talking to from contacting me. And again, I don't know why you would want to. You're cutting your own throat. You're fighting against your own. That's why the women have won and are continuing to win, because they believe in a sisterhood and you have no solidarity with your fellow males. You're not a man. And that's sad. And if you'd like to support the show, please consider donating at therealistphilosopher.com/donate. That is therealistphilosopher.com/donate. I am here for you every day, Monday to Friday, and I make content on Saturday and Sunday as well. So I'm making content 7 days a week. It takes a lot of time. If you are ingesting my content, please consider donating. I need your help. There are more things I want to do, more platforms I want to be on. And, if you know how the real world works, none of that is free. So please consider donating. I'd greatly appreciate it. And that's it. I am the Realist Philosopher, and I wish you a good day. I'll see you tomorrow, hopefully. Take care.